Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We're learning more on a topic that Action 2 News has covered for years. A new investigation published in the Wisconsin State Journal revealing new issues at Green Bay Correctional Institution.
The new claims range from staff bringing drugs inside the prison to neglecting an inmate who later died. In a First Alert update, Emily Riley tells us how local leaders are responding to this new report.
The Wisconsin State Journal conducted interviews with more than 24 current and former inmates and guards and their family members at the Green Bay Correctional Institution. The report cites multiple claims of guards not following protocol, such as denying an inmate a wheelchair, not reporting an inmate's suicidal ideation, and smuggling in drugs and cell phones for inmates. Brown County authorities investigated these claims, but guards have not faced charges. Local leaders I spoke with today say the report does not come as a surprise.
It's confirming just about everything that we've heard over the last 5-6 years. And things are getting worse at GBCI, and the failure to address this issue at this point is nothing short of willful, gross negligence.
Alloway Village President Jim Rafter says he wants Governor Evers to consider funding for an entirely new facility.
The biggest issue that I'm facing right now is my growing concern about the safety of our community due to the lack of staffing and the unrest that is taking place within GBCI.
Multiple attempts at funding measures for a new prison have stalled in the legislature and not won the support of the governor. We reached out to Governor Tony Evers' office for comment on the matter and have not yet heard back. Funding for a new roof for the facility has passed in the current budget plan, but still is waiting for further approval. Reporting in Alloway, Emily Riley, Action 2 News.